at 5:25 in the morning on June 18, 2022. A text message was sent between two men in Philadelphia. It read, "Bro, one fireman died, God bless his soul. We just wanted to burn the building." That text, those 20 words, would become the centerpiece of a federal prosecution. Evidence of a confession sent while rescue crews were still pulling firefighters from a pile of rubble 3 stories deep. The fireman who died was Lieutenant Sean Williamson, 27 years with the Philadelphia Fire Department, a former Marine, father of 3. The kind of man who set up a ropes course in his own backyard so a colleague, a fellow brother, could train for a specialized unit. He died in the Fair Hill neighborhood of North Philadelphia, not fighting a fire, but in the aftermath of one. A building had been set ablaze deliberately for an insurance payout of $400,000. And the man who set that fire? Well, he owned the building. He'd bought it 9 months earlier for $120,000. And he'd taken out a fire insurance policy just 38 days before the blaze. And on the same day Sean Williamson's body was pulled from the rubble, that man signed paperwork to file his insurance claim. And then he boarded a plane to Jordan. Hi, I'm Steve Rode, and I've spent 30 years as an investigative writer, tracking financial criminals and years in emergency services as a police dispatcher, surveillance photographer, and chief pilot for public safety operations. This is the story of how a man burned his own building for the money, and a hero paid the price. You're listening to True Crime Cases You Haven't Heard. And if this is your first time here, this is what I do. I find cases that deserve to be told, cases with real investigation, real consequences, and real people at their center. No clickbait, no sensationalism. If that sounds like your kind of show, well, hit subscribe right now or follow right now so you don't miss what comes next. Sean Joseph Williamson was born on November 23, 1970, in Southwest Philadelphia. Big Italian family. The kind of house where food wasn't just meals. It was a language. It was how you said, "I love you," and how you celebrated, and how you grieved. After graduating from West Catholic High School, Sean joined the United States Marine Corps. And he didn't just serve. No. According to his eulogy, he was accepted into special operations, a recon Marine.
He was a hands-on, get your hands dirty kind of guy, kind of a wrecking ball. One of his nicknames was Buzz Lightyear. Also, one of his nicknames was Pigpen.
When Sean left the Marines and came home to Philadelphia, he took a construction job. But something was missing. According to Lieutenant David Herron, who spoke at his funeral, Sean missed the camaraderie he loved in the Marine Corps. But he found it again in 1994 when he joined the Philadelphia Fire Department.
He came to us, and you could see the Marine in him right away. You had to watch what you said to Sean. If he thought it was an order, it was going to get done quick.
Over the next 27 years, Sean Williamson became one of the department's best. Engine 52, Engine 55, Ladder 22. And then he was selected for Rescue 1. That's the city's elite heavy rescue company. And Pennsylvania Task Force 1, the state's federal urban search and rescue team. I mean, think about that for a moment. His specialty was rescuing people from collapsed buildings. But if you talk to the people who knew him best, they wouldn't lead with the resume. They'd tell you about the cooking. According to the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation Memorial Profile, Sean saw food and cooking as a way to bring people together. He believed in cooking with soul, as if it were an ingredient. He taught his children how, and his youngest daughter believed that the olive oil he used was actual physical love he would put into his food. He had a saying. His friend and colleague, retired Lieutenant George Kiefer, a man 22 years his senior, who became one of Sean's closest friends, remembered it at the funeral. Sean used to tell people, as long as you were smiling, you can say anything you want to me.
We had a stellar crew. We had a really great crew of young guys, but sometimes they were a little slow to get started. So all I had to ever do was go out and start a lawnmower, and Sean was on the case. What's wrong with this picture, he would holler. We got a senior man out there, and we're in here, so everybody's buzzing around like bees, quick, and things got done. He was like a first sergeant in our company, and that helped us a lot.
Even though he was a firefighter by title, according to those who knew him, Sean Williamson was a teacher at heart. He spent his time learning new things and then teaching those skills to anyone who'd listen. His son Patrick would later tell a courtroom that his father lived by that motto. We'll get into those words. They matter. But first, you need to understand what happened at 300 West Indiana Avenue. 300 West Indiana Avenue sat on the corner of 3rd Street and Indiana Avenue in the Fair Hill section of North Philadelphia. If you know Fair Hill, you know the reputation. If you don't, well, it's one of the poorest neighborhoods in one of America's poorest large cities. The building was a 3-story mixed-use structure, the kind you see all over Philadelphia. Built in the 1880s, according to the NIOSH investigation report, that's the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health. It's the federal agency that investigates every firefighter line of duty death in the country. It was labeled as Type 3 construction, masonry exterior walls, but the floors and roof were wood frame. In 2002, City Licensing and Inspection declared the building eminently dangerous, and that was 20 years before the fire. In May 2019, code violations were cited. Missing kitchen hood, no fire extinguisher, no smoke alarms. And 2 years later, June 2021, those violations were still unresolved. 3 months after that, in September 2021, a 27-year-old man named Al-Ashraf Khalil purchased the building for $120,000. According to federal court records, Khalil opened a business on the ground floor. Star Pizza, Fish, and Chicken. The apartment upstairs he rented to 2 employees and their families. Both families had young children. Then, according to the federal affidavit filed by ATF Special Agent Danielle Decker, Khalil obtained a fire insurance policy on the building, and the limit was $1.5 million. And the policy went into effect on May 11th, 2022, 38 days before the fire. According to the same affidavit, at some point before the fire, Khalil stabbed the building's Wi-Fi router with a knife. The purpose, investigators determined, was to disable the surveillance cameras. And there's one more thing. when investigators later confronted Khalil's accomplice, a man named Isam Jagama, and told him about the arson plan. According to the affidavit, Jagama asked Khalil a simple question. "Another one?" referring to another fire at a different property Khalil owned. The day before the fire on June 17, 2022, according to the federal affidavit, Khalil directed Jagama to take pizza dough and other items to the building and place them inside. The purpose was to make it appear that there was an active business operating. Everything was in place. Just after 1:30 in the morning on June 18th, 2022, it was a Saturday. Surveillance cameras near 300 West Indiana Avenue captured two figures approaching the building from behind a dumpster. According to the federal affidavit, the footage shows them entering through the basement doors. Approximately 18 to 20 minutes later, the footage shows both men exiting. As they leave, smoke begins rising from the direction of the building. At 1:53 a.m., according to the NIOSH report, the Fire Communications Center dispatched Box 443. Reports of a fire in a third-floor apartment with potential trapped occupants.
Station 51, Station 86, Station 55 tells event for Engine 251 to the scene, Engine 286 to the scene, and Battalion 55 to the scene for foot alarm. Structure fire. Happy.
Engine 2 arrived within 4 minutes. Smoke conditions and suppression efforts began immediately. Upstairs, two families with young children. Khalil's own tenants, his own employees, woke to find their building on fire.
It happened in June 2022. Prosecutors say the fire was set with two families still in the apartments above.
According to multiple sources, 8 people were evacuated. The families escaped with their nightclothes. They would lose everything they owned. By 2:05 a.m., according to the NIOSH report, the incident commander escalated operations. All hands in service. By 2:12 a.m., primary searches were negative, and the fire had been knocked down. And at 2:18, the fire was officially declared under control. Units began clearing the building. And the crisis, it seemed, was over. The fire was out. What came next wasn't about fighting flames. It was about making sure the building was safe. A fire marshal arrived at 2:33 a.m. to begin a cause and origin investigation. Licensing and inspection personnel arrived at 3:14. Lieutenant Sean Williamson and a team of firefighters were inside the building, performing what's called overhaul, checking walls, ceilings, and void spaces to ensure the fire was fully extinguished. They had done it 1,000 times before. At 3:23 a.m., approximately 90 minutes after the initial dispatch, the building collapsed. Three stories of a 140-year-old building came down on 6 people, 5 firefighters, and 1 L&I supervisor. Engine 50 confirmed the full collapse at 3:27, and Battalion Chief 8 requested a second alarm at approximately 3:30. Collapse Unit 1 was dispatched. Rescue 1, Sean Williamson's former unit, was called to the scene. And according to the NIOSH report, at approximately 4:09 a.m., the incident commander confirmed contact with 3 trapped firefighters. But a 4th could not be accounted for. Over the next hours, rescue crews worked to reach the trap. One firefighter jumped from the second floor to avoid being buried. The others were systematically extracted. Between 5:01 and 5:14 a.m., 4 people were pulled from the rubble, alive. Firefighters Robert Brennan Jr., Dennis Daly, in critical condition, Lieutenant Clarence Johnson, and Lieutenant Sylvester Burton treated and released, and L&I Supervisor Thomas Rubikowski also survived. Lieutenant Sean Williamson was not among them. At 6:45 on the morning of June 18, 2022, paramedics pronounced Sean Williamson dead at the scene. He was 51 years old. I need to tell you something. I was a firefighter for a number of years. I was a fire department pilot, not one of the guys on the ground. I was probably the best firefighter in the air and, let's be honest, the least competent rushing from a station to respond to a call for help. But I was there. I saw those men and women and what they do. They were being there on someone's worst day. Every shift. The job down there is hard enough without someone stacking the deck against you. And that's what this was. This level of evil. Setting a fire for an insurance check in a building with families and small children sleeping inside. Makes the death of a firefighter senseless. Not heroic in the way people want it to be, just senseless. I have all the love and respect in the world for the firefighters who do that job. Sean Williamson did that job for 27 years. Now, remember that text I opened this episode with? Let me walk you through what the man who set this fire was doing while Sean Williamson lay trapped under 3 stories of rubble. According to the federal affidavit at 3:44 a.m., 21 minutes after the collapse, Al-Ashraf Khalil sent a photograph to Jagma. He took a picture while firefighters were buried alive inside. Then at 5:25 a.m., as a rescue crew was pulling survivors from the wreckage, as Sean Williamson's family had not yet been told, Khalil sent the text. Bro, one fireman died. God bless his soul. We just wanted to burn the building. I want to stop here again for a moment. I've spent 30 years investigating financial criminals. People who chase money through fraud, embezzlement, schemes, and there's a pattern I've seen over and over. The text Khalil sent that morning, we just wanted to burn the building. Well, that phrase is a pattern. We just wanted, as if the intent erases the consequences, as if wanting money is a defense for what the money cost. In my experience, that's how financial criminals think. The crime is the scheme. The human damage? Well, that's something that happened to them, not because of them. Bro, one fireman died. As if fate killed Sean Williamson. As if Khalil just happened to be watching. That's not fate. That's arson. And that mindset, I just wanted the money, is what makes insurance fraud so dangerous, because the people who commit it genuinely do not plan for anyone to die. They just don't care enough to make sure no one does.
I'm almost speechless. I'm not done crying.
That was Philadelphia Fire Commissioner Adam Thiel on the morning of June 18th, 2022, the day before Father's Day. While the city mourned, investigators were already working. According to the federal affidavit, on the same day Sean Williamson died, June 18th, Al-Ashraf Khalil signed paperwork authorizing an insurance adjuster to file a claim exceeding $400,000 on the building he had just burned to the ground. The ATF National Response Team deployed to Philadelphia within 24 hours. A multi-agency task force formed. ATF, FBI, the Philadelphia Fire Department, the Fire Marshal's Office, and the Philadelphia Police. The evidence trail was not subtle. According to the affidavit, surveillance footage recovered by investigators showed two figures entering the basement minutes before the fire. And Khalil was identified in part because he was wearing the same clothes 2 days later when investigators interviewed him. His voice was reportedly picked up on camera audio, and cell phone records placed him near the scene at the time of the fire, despite his claim to investigators that he was home. And then there was Jagama. According to the affidavit, just 2 days after the fire, on June 20th, Jagama sat down for a video-recorded interview with law enforcement. He told investigators that Khalil was going to torch the building, that Khalil told him they needed to light it, and that on the night of the fire, Khalil directed the operation. Jagama also told investigators about the staging the day before, the pizza dough brought in to make the building look operational, about the disabled cameras, and about the prior fire at a different Khalil property. Another one? That question Jagama asked wasn't surprise. It was recognition. The federal affidavit was filed on June 22nd, just 4 days after the fire. Charges were ready. But there was a problem. Al-Ashraf Khalil was gone.
Ladies and gentlemen, this will serve as a final boarding announcement.
After being questioned by Philadelphia police, according to multiple federal sources, Khalil boarded a plane bound for Jordan. He held dual citizenship, American and Palestinian. And according to court records and news coverage, he was denied entry into Jordan and was sent back.
Extraordinary diplomatic efforts were made between the United States Marshal Service, Interpol in Washington, the Department of Justice, Office of International Affairs, the U.S. Department of State, Homeland Security Investigations, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
U.S. Marshals were waiting at JFK Airport.
Deputy Marshals placed designated handcuffs on Khalil, marked with the initials and badge number of deceased firefighter Sean Williamson.
Let me say that again. The handcuffs they placed on Khalil at JFK Airport were inscribed with Sean Williamson's initials and badge number. The Brotherhood does not forget.
Arson kills. Arson killed Lieutenant Williamson. Because you can't run and you can't hide. This team will find you.
The announcement of Khalil's arrest came on June 28, 2022, just 1 day after Lieutenant Williamson was laid to rest at Epiphany of Our Lord Catholic Church in South Philadelphia, where more than 1,000 mourners gathered. Firefighters from as far as southern France and Montreal attended. A superseding indictment was filed in August of 2023, charging both Khalil and Jagama. And the charges: conspiracy to commit malicious damage by means of fire to a building used in interstate commerce. Malicious damage by means of fire? And for Khalil, additional charges of wire fraud and using fire in furtherance of wire fraud. Both men faced a maximum of life in prison. Hey, if this story is hitting you the way it hit me when I was researching it, I want to ask you something. Can you take 5 seconds right now and share this episode with one person? Maybe a firefighter you know, a friend who listens to true crime, a family member who doesn't know cases like this exist. That share is how I find the people who need to hear these stories. That's it. Back to the case. The trial began on November 12, 2024, in the United States District Court for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania, before Senior Judge Cynthia Rufy. It lasted 8 days. According to trial coverage and court documents, the prosecution presented surveillance footage, phone records, the text messages, the insurance documentation, and expert testimony from a fire research engineer and forensic chemistry expert. ATF cell phone forensic analyst Mark Schonendecker testified about the phone evidence. The defense argued that while the fire was set, the collapse, not the fire, killed Williamson. That the building's age and condition, not the arson, was the proximate cause. The jury didn't buy it. No. On November 21st, 2024, the federal jury returned its verdict. Guilty on all counts for both defendants. U.S. Attorney Jacqueline Romero said it plainly, quote, "This fire wasn't an accident or act of God. But for these defendants, it never would have started. The building would still stand and Lieutenant Williamson would still be with his family. A wholly preventable tragedy sparked by greed." October 22nd, 2025, a Wednesday afternoon, more than 3 years after the fire. In the courtroom, Sean Williamson's son, Patrick, took the stand. And he spoke about his father. He called him the world's best teacher, a dedicated family man, a hero to be remembered.
Yeah, neither of the family members wanted to talk on camera today, but I can tell you Lieutenant Sean Williamson's son, he took to the stand today, and he shared a motto that his father had, saying, "You're not trying to save the world or change the world, you're just trying to change someone's world." And it was with that mindset that he would go out here in Philly and fight fires day after day, including the fire in 2022 that took his life.
You're not trying to change the world, you're trying to change someone's world. That was the motto Sean Williamson lived by. The words his son chose to share in a federal courtroom, standing feet from the men who killed his father. Patrick also told the court that his father couldn't be there to see him get married recently. And then Khalil stood to address the court.
"I was desperate. I was a coward. Now you are the ones that have to live with what I've done."
According to the sentencing coverage, Khalil also said, "I am not an evil man, but I was a selfish one. And my selfish actions took away a man that was a hero." The judge was not moved. According to multiple sources, the judge described the defendant's actions as made out of pure self-interest and displaying, her words, depraved indifference to human life. neither of the defendants considered at all the consequences of their actions, she said, which proved to be far-reaching, devastating, and deadly. Al-Ashraf Khalil got 40 years in federal prison, 3 years supervised release. Jagama, 25 years in federal prison, 3 years supervised release. Combined restitution, $1,292,417, payable to the city of Philadelphia for the medical expenses of the injured responders and the funeral of Lieutenant Sean Williamson. I doubt it'll ever be paid. As the sentences were announced according to NBC 10's coverage, Khalil's family responded from the gallery.
By saying that he's not a serial killer, he just made a mistake.
A mistake? A 140-year-old building, declared dangerous 20 years ago. 2 families with children sleeping upstairs. A fire insurance policy taken out 38 days before. A Wi-Fi router stabbed to kill the cameras. And pizza dough staged to fake an operating business. And a text message, "We just wanted to burn the building." That's not a mistake. That's a plan. And a firefighter, a good person, is dead because of it. The Philadelphia Fire Department issued a statement after the sentencing. It read in part, "His tragic and senseless death robbed his family of a beloved partner, father, brother, and son, and robbed this city of a dedicated, respected, and highly skilled firefighter." Sean Williamson was posthumously promoted to captain. In July 2025, NIOSH published its investigation report. It found that no formal risk assessment was conducted before personnel re-entered the building after the fire. No safety officer was strategically deployed. The building, 140 years old, declared dangerous 2 decades before, had no pre-incident plan. 5 safety reforms were implemented by the Philadelphia Fire Department in response. I need to pause here because this is where 2 systems failed simultaneously. As someone who spent 2 years dispatching emergency calls and years coordinating aerial search and rescue, I know what post-incident protocol is supposed to look like. Risk assessment, safety officers, incident command tracking every soul inside, especially in a compromised structure. But there's a deeper failure. This building was declared imminently dangerous in 2002. 20 years. Code violations unresolved for over 2 years. No permits, no inspections, no rental licenses. The fire didn't create the danger. It exposed what was already there. Sean Williamson didn't just die because 2 men committed arson. Honestly, he died because a system allowed a building to exist as a death trap for 2 decades while families lived inside. The arsonist lit the match. But let's be honest. The city had been stacking the kindling for 20 years. At Sean Williamson's funeral, a priest named Father Callahan delivered the homily. He spoke about what it means to lay down your life, not for friends, but for strangers, for people who don't know you exist, who don't know your name, and who may never, ever thank you.
So God made a firefighter. Had to be someone willing to risk their life for a stranger. Someone willing to run into a burning building when everyone else is running out. Finally come home after a long shift. See their family. Hold them close. Whisper a prayer of thanksgiving. So God made a firefighter. God made Lieutenant Sean Williamson.
And retired Lieutenant George Kiefer, 22 years Sean's senior, one of his closest friends, ended his eulogy with words that I haven't been able to shake since I read them.
Won't be too long before I'll meet up with you again. Until then, take care and rest in peace, my good buddy.
Al-Ashraf Khalil is 32 years old. His 40-year sentence means he'll be 72 before he's eligible for release. And Jagama, he'll be 57. Sean Williamson was 51 when he died. He'd given 27 years to the Philadelphia Fire Department, and years before that to the Marine Corps. He was a teacher at heart who spent his life learning things and then teaching them to others. His son Patrick told the courtroom full of strangers what his father believed. You're not trying to change the world. You're trying to change someone's world. Lieutenant Sean Williamson changed a lot of worlds. And a man burned a building for $400,000 and took him away. Well, that's the case. USA versus Khalil and Jagama, Eastern District of Pennsylvania. If you want the court documents behind this case, be sure to subscribe at truecrimeunheard.com. And you'll get them for the next case. You need to be previously subscribed to get the secret link when the next case drops. Hey, you can also find me on Facebook, Substack, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for True Crime Unheard. And if this episode hit you the way it hit me, take those 5 seconds and leave a rating or review wherever you're listening. I'm Steve Rode, and this has been True Crime Cases You Haven't Heard. Until next week, stay curious, stay safe, and stay subscribed.
Yeah.
Bye.
Cases you ain't heard about. Time to dig in. Yeah. Folders full of federal files, court documents stacked for miles. Ain't no famous names in here, just the truth that disappeared. Sworn affidavits, FBI, every claim verified. No speculation, no disguise, just the facts before your eyes. True crime cases, you have heard every single verified word. We honor the people, tell the whole story. No exploitation, just the glory of the truth coming to light. Cases overlooked, we make it right. Victims ain't just plot devices, not just names, not just crisis. Families deserve the dignity, stories told with integrity. 30 years I've walked this road, investigations heavy load. From the dispatch desk to the mic, getting every detail right. True crime cases, you have heard every single verified word. We honor the people, tell the whole story. No exploitation, just the glory of the truth coming to life. True crime.